We got Dustin Ortiz back here on the program. He's going to be taking on Joseph Benavidez at UFC on ESPN +1 on January 19th. Dustin, what's going on, man? How are you?
Staying chopping as always, man. Working.
Yeah, and you're certainly looking the part today. We were talking off air about that hat. Pretty cool story on how you got the hat and looking very stylish. You want to just let my audience know the story behind you wearing that pretty awesome Tombstone hat?
Yeah, this is a custom hat given to me by my girlfriend. And if you can see right there, we got the custom axe on there, given to me by my brother. And actually, it says, it might be backwards, but it says "Stay Chopping," and it made by Coupe d'Etat in Canada. You might be familiar.
Yeah, I've heard of the company.
Yeah, man, I've always loved this style of hat. And I've never been a hat guy, you know. So when a very special person like my girlfriend gives me this hat, you know, you accept it and you sport it and you wear it, and it gives me a sense of pride. You know, I call it my life hat, and it brings me to life. It lets me live in the moment and appreciate, you know, really who I am, and not care about what other people think. You know, so it's a beautiful day here in California. It's kind of raining, and so I get to like snuggle up a little bit and have my hat on and drink my drink and just wake up and come to life, man. So everything is good right now.
Well, it's been a great year for you. Last year, I should say, three fight win streak. Of course, I was at your last fight when you got that finish over Matthias Nicolau in Calgary. What do you think has been the difference these last couple of fights? Because we've really seen you, kind of live up to your potential. I think if you look at some of the opponents you've had in the past, they were tough. Things, were close, but now you've really sort of come out of your shell. What would you say has been the difference?
I think it's just growth in who I am and what I'm doing, and belief in who I am and what I'm doing, and ultimately the people that I surround myself with. You know, it's as I've gotten older, your group gets smaller, the people that you're around is smaller, and it's not a bad thing, you know. And being out here at CSA, Combat Sports Academy, and AKA as well, splitting my time, the people here are just, you know, there's so many different styles and so many different people, and people come and go, and I learned to take certain things from certain people that help me grow. And ultimately, I'm trying to grow as a person, not just as a mixed martial artist. So that has helped me just leaps and bounds, and being in my own head. Like I said, I'm being more present with myself and the way I'm thinking. So that helps me accomplish and conquer little battles in your mind that you have when it's like, man, I'm not doing good. I'm having this day. And you're like, hey, it's just a day. Like, I'm going to leave it in yesterday, and I'm going to look forward to tomorrow or today, you know? So being able to do that, just really be in the presence of right now, has helped me leaps and bounds. And of course, it's drilling upon drilling upon drilling, and being exposed, like I said earlier, to different styles, and drilling those styles. And if it catches on, then it catches on, and I become that much better in that aspect, you know. So it's just I think it's just growth and being a person, and opening up my mind and into different styles and different people has ultimately led to me just being better and more successful in the fight, and experience. You know, I've been there, I've done that, so that adds a little bit more comfort. And going into these fights a bit against big name dudes. Nicolau, man, everybody was, I don't even think one person thought I was going to win that fight. You know what I mean? And it was just like, I knew that he was super crisp with his boxing. He's a bigger guy, had bigger reach. And my corner just was confident in me, and that built my confidence. And it was just like, okay, what happens, happens. You know, I've absolutely done everything that I could. I came out here to California, and that's, you know, I'm leaving my family behind and everything to do that, you know, and we all just accept it, and, you know, they support me, and I come out here and I do what I do, and yeah, it's got me here. So I'm sitting pretty not comfortable, but I'm sitting comfortable because I know mentally that I'm at where I'm supposed to be.
Well, I'm sure you'd be sitting a lot more comfortably knowing the future of the flyweight division, because there's been a lot that's happened since your last fight. Of course, it seemed like they were getting rid of the flyweight division, but this fight is actually taking place at 125 pounds, is it not?
Yes, it is 125. I'll be there 125 because I know TJ and Henry are also fighting on the same card. Whatever happens, happens. So I'll be prepared. I'll be weighing in at 125 pounds as well. So I'm ready to fight anybody. You know what I mean? This is what we do, and I signed up for it, and I'll sign another contract against anybody else at that weight. So.
Yeah, and has the UFC told you at all that either of you are the backup for that title fight if that happens? Have they said anything, or you just assume that?
No, I'm just assuming. I'm assuming because they moved the fight from Joseph was supposed to fight
Figueroa, yeah.
Devas. Yep, that guy, and he pulled out due to I'm not sure of the circumstances. What I heard was that he just would not be able to make the weight in that amount of time since they moved it earlier. And so, hey, sign me up. They called and asked, and I talked to my people and was like, yeah, let's do this. So I'm assuming, just based off of my knowledge in the past, that if something falls through, that Henry or Joseph will get his deserving title shot. He's ranked ahead of me, and then it's unknown what will happen with me, but I'm going to be there weighing in no matter what. So.
And I forgot, of course, this is a rematch. You guys fought in 2014 back at UFC Fight Night 57, which I know things didn't go your way that night. But how do you feel like he has improved since the last time you guys fought? And same thing with you. Where do you feel like you've grown a bit?
Same aspect. I truly feel that I've grown more just because I was still in the beginning of my career. When I fought Joseph, man, I mean, I remember watching him in WEC, and I was still in high school.
That's right,
I just graduated, and I was watching him. My dad and I watched him in WEC, and I'm like, man, this guy is just go, 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 And so when I fought him, he had already established a style and a reputation, and this is kind of what he is known for and what he does. Whereas when I fought him, I was still establishing that. I was still trying to figure out where I am, what I'm doing, and I'm still doing that. So I feel as though he's kind of found something that has worked tremendously for him, and he's stuck with it, and he's just kind of doing that same thing. He's added and taken away some things, and he's very good at making each fight a little bit different according to that fighter. So he makes little adjustments for everybody. I've noticed, whereas I've made big adjustments for everybody. Like my last fight, it was like, let's get that kick going, and then I'm just itching it in a little bit at a time until it connects, and I felt as though he thought I was going to go for the takedown. So because that's what I'm known for, so I'm able to still keep people on their toes with what I'm going to do. So I'm very still unpredictable, where I feel like he's pretty predictable with just a little tweaks that he does here and there. And so that's why I think that's where we stand. I was still trying to figure it out, and he had already figured it out, and that's why he was able to just continue to do the same thing. Because if you go back and watch that fight, man, I was still on him. I was right in front of him the entire fight. I was pushing, and he was just able to outsmart me. And I think that was due to the experience. So now that I have the experience, we're both here, and we're back in the same cage doing the same thing to figure out really how far I've come, and that's the beautiful thing about the fighting is we get in there and we figure out, these people ask, who's going to win this fight? I don't know. That's why we get in the cage and fight, That's the beautiful thing about it.
What about training partners? You mentioned training at the two gyms. Who are some of the guys you get to work with, on a more regular basis, more consistently?
Man, I'm really horrible at names and last names, but my main two guys when I come here, they're on the ball right away. Is Adam Antolin. He's fighting for
fought for Bellator.
He fought on the Contender. I mean, this dude is one of the best, if not the best, training partners ever. He's always down His gas tank is on the money, and he's just part of my team, and he'll be in my corner. And then Darren, and you can help me out with his last name. I just say,
Yama?
yeah, I say, Darren, you ought to know me.
Well, he used to fight in the UFC and I think fought in Strikeforce as well. So I remember him, yeah.
And so that's those are my two main guys. And then over at AKA, man, they got a lot of up and coming littler guys. I know they're known for their bigger dudes because they have a lot of champions in their upper weight classes. DC runs practice. Ron runs jiu-jitsu practice. Mark and I, you'll know him here in the next couple years, man. He's the next best thing at 35, 25. It doesn't matter. This dude's a stud. And I go over there and I get in a lot of work with him. And then the CSA crew, man, everybody knows them. Eddie Absolo, he's been a huge part in just kind of the way that I think and that I move. He's silky smooth, as they call him. And so we just really are able to kind of flow off of each other and make up things as we go and remember them and say, hey man, this is working, and we'll implement that into our game plan and stuff like that. And Diego Lamas and Dream Killer is there, and he's helping me a lot. And then the man himself, Kieran, he's kind of the mind behind everything. So when I get a little anxious, and he kind of puts me back into place, and when I'm like, oh man, I just didn't have that day today, he reminds me, how good I am. So he's kind of the mental aspect of a lot of the fighters there.
How do you see this fight unfolding on January 19th?
Well, it with the way that the UFC is going and the 125 weight class being in question and all that good stuff, it's going to be fireworks. It's nonstop action. Benavidez always brings that. There's not one fight that I've went back and watched where he waited for a guy or he just didn't move. This dude's just bam, bam, bam. That cardio is on point. And mine's there as always. It's one of my strong points. It's going to be my theme, and it's just going to be I truly feel, if I don't get the knockout in the first round, which I'm polling for, is which I'm going for, it's going to be a 3-round just back and forth war, man. Because as much as I would love to sit here and say, oh, it's going to be one-sided, I'm going to go in there and dominate him, nobody does that to Joseph Benavidez. He is one of, if not the toughest 125er in the UFC right now. And he has been for the last however long the UFC's had the 125 division, and he's been the top 10 135. So, you can't just say that you're going to go in there and steamroll a guy like that. You got to be smart as well. So it's going to be back and forth, complete action, nonstop for 15 minutes, and it's going to be excitement, man. It's going to be what the 125 division really is all about. And we both represent that very, very well. We're flyweights, man. We can move, and we know it, and we do it.
Does a win here get you a title shot? We would have to think so, just with the placement of this fight on the card and the fact that there aren't many flyweight fights announced. In fact, I think this is the only current one outside the title fight.
Yeah, this hat's going to give me the title shot. Yeah. This hat right here is going to give me the title shot. It's UFC has really become this marketing thing where they're looking for these guys that not only can fight but can come in here and put on a show with their mouth and what they're doing and what they're saying in and outside of the cage, in their social media and stuff like that. They're looking for superstars, and that's what I'm creating here. So yeah, I absolutely think that I'm deserving of a title shot, especially finishing Joseph Benavidez. I'll be the first person to ever do so. That'll be 4-fight win streak, 3 finishes, 3 first-round finishes. One was in 15 seconds. One was against another guy that was undefeated in the UFC. And then the last one would be against a guy who's never been finished before, who's been a #1 title contender since he started fighting. Absolutely deserving of a title shot. And we'll get my title shot. They said, this for a #1 title contender spot. I don't know if that's just to get me to sign the contract, because I would do that anyways. So yeah, most deserving right now.
It's going to be a great card. It's coming up here January 19th. It is UFC on ESPN +1. Dustin, always appreciate the time, man. Just remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you have any sponsors or shout-outs, the floor is yours.
Yeah, social media is all things Dustin Ortiz MMA. That's Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter. Hashtag stay chopping. Everybody hashtag stay chopping. Let me know that you're working, that you're doing something. It doesn't have to be mixed martial arts or working out. Whatever it is that you do, let me know that you're doing you. And also, I would like to give a shout out to James, man. I saw that you asked a lot of fighters, their opinion on closing down the 125 division. And that the problem lies within us. It's like that whole Leslie thing, and she's trying to make a stand, but nobody's getting behind her, and that's kind of where the 25 division is. And I thank you for asking fighters that, and not a lot of people really cared. It kind of hurt because we all have the same passion, we all do the same thing, and they're like, yeah, I saw it coming. It's unfortunate, but there might be benefits of this, and they might get paid somewhere else, and blah 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 blah. No, we want the UFC belt. That's what we are been training for. It's what we're striving for. We want the same thing, man. Support guys that are doing, and girls that are doing what you're doing. So I thank you for calling fighters out, and really getting their opinion. It's unfortunate a lot of them didn't stand up for us more and show their passion for other fellow fighters. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna leave you with is a thank you for your time, and let's stay chopping, baby.